There we go.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. I'm so sorry. I just don't want this to not go recorded.
Yeah, no worries at all. All right, so we're good to get started.
Yeah, why don't we do that? I'm going to just change my speaker view here. I'm going to mute everyone just while I get us started, and then I'll pass it over to you. So I'll unmute you.
Okay.
But welcome everybody to our team call, and I'm really excited to welcome a couple other teams hopping on this call as well tonight. So welcome, and I also am going to apologize. I am very sick, even though I hate to admit it. But I hope that you guys are all doing really well. Again, I always know that it's a lot to carve out this time at night, but you know, we used to have this saying that was like show up to go up in your business, and I actually think of it more as show up to grow up, because so much of what we do is just constantly growing, right, and getting better. And that is a lot of what I feel like having the opportunity to have Ashley on the call tonight is doing for us. It's teaching us to grow and learn in a skill that is so important to us having an impact in the lives of others, getting our message heard. So if you haven't met Ashley before, if you haven't already been on one of her calls, she is, I'm very lucky to call her a friend, but she has been a massive mentor to me in just really defining my brand and understanding my message, and really in such a clear, concise, simple teaching way, helping other women to get that message out in a clear way, to find their customer and help them grow. And that's really just the smallest part of what she does. So I am going to pass it on over to you, Ash. And thank you again for being on here tonight with us, because I know that everyone who's here is excited to hear about these marketing secrets and to learn from you tonight. So thank you guys, and thanks everyone for being on, and over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much again for being here. I do really appreciate the fact that you guys have made time for this. And I really am confident that in the next hour, you will learn some very, very simple but effective marketing strategies that will absolutely change your business, because in anything that I teach, I am just such a big believer that if I haven't tested it, I can't with confidence say it works. So these things are all things that I have tested and have been the guinea pig for, and I can confidently say that it has changed my business, so I know it will change yours. So the title of the presentation today is the #1 marketing secret that changes everything. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm going to do a quick intro to a little bit about myself and a little bit about my story. So I started in the fitness industry in 1984. My parents owned a Gold's Gym, and the basis of it really is my mom was an aerobics instructor, my dad was a bodybuilder, so I really grew up in the fitness industry. It wasn't until I had my first, I would say, sort of job that outside of school that I was passionate about, that I knew I was going to go in that line of the fitness industry. I was thinking back, I worked in, I worked for Cutco. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but it's a company that basically we sold knives. And that was a pretty interesting network marketing experience. I think it really created the foundation for me of how to be able to spread my message through relationships. And I just loved sales right from the get-go. So I had this, this start with working in sales by selling knives. And if you can sell a knife, I'm telling you, you can sell anything. But these knives were amazing. I love the product. So it was just such a good experience. And then, so I worked for Good Life Fitness for about 10 years. Started in training, like personal training, but then I found my love in the training and development department. I just really found that I found my home really there. And I moved out to the West Coast in the last couple of years, worked for the second largest fitness company in Canada, and now I'm the president of a fitness company on Vancouver Island. So that's just a quick synopsis, a little bit about my background. But I'm going to get into actually what really I think matters, which is called my sweet spot. So before I do, I wanted to preface this whole presentation by letting you know I have done a lot of scuba diving and diving recently. The whole presentation, you will notice, is about being under the sea, about fish, and about Dory. So if it's corny and cheesy, I apologize and you're welcome all in advance. So I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about my sweet spot. So in all of my courses, you'll sort of see this theme about what I call the magical unicorn. And what I really mean by this, I just want to give you guys an example because we all have this within us. And whenever we talk about marketing, it's so important you know what this is, because this will differentiate you from every single person out there. So for me, it starts, I was a baby gym rat. I've been in the industry since 1984. My mom went into labor in the parking lot, and I've worked for the 3 largest fitness companies in Canada. The second piece about my background is that I am I would call like a business buff. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've loved sales. I've loved the psychology behind sales and really understanding people. And I've really learned the hard way what it takes to be successful. I would say, you know, when the people say like, oh, I was an overnight success, but it only took 12 years. And like, I am the legit example of that. I have been what I would call an online marketer since I met my husband 13 years ago. And we have just been grinding and grinding and grinding till finally I feel like I can say I know what gets momentum. So that is the business buff piece. The next piece is that I am a passionate preacher. What I mean by that is I love to teach, because if I understand something and I can teach it, I understand it on this unconscious core level that I can help others execute and connect the dots, and then I execute it 1,000 times better. So that's really why I love to teach. And then the last piece about it is that I am very simplistic. I hate technology and I hate anything that's complicated. So it's really funny, right? You take this person that's like, oh, like I'm an entrepreneur and I want to do online stuff. And then you're like, yeah, build a website. And like, anyway, so what you can get from me and expect from me is that I will break everything down and I will move anything out that's not important. Because if it's not important, we don't need to talk about it. So everything I do is very simplistic and very back down to those grassroots to make it easy. So that's what I would call my sweet spot. That is what you can expect from me. That is how I am different than any other, I would say, business, branding, marketing coach out there, any entrepreneur out there. Those are the things that I thrive at and that I love and that I think I'm really, really good at. Okay, so this is what I actually do. I help top tier coaches eliminate the overwhelm in their marketing efforts so they can have the business of their dreams. So if I were to give you my 30-second, even less, elevator pitch, that's exactly what I do. Is I help coaches take down the overwhelm so they can just focus on building their business. So we're going to jump right into things, into the what I would call how it might have felt at the beginning of your coaching business. So anytime I interview coaches, I've talked to them about how their business is going and help me understand, like, how did you get started? What was working? And every time I talk to coaches, they're like, oh, in the beginning, it was so easy. I didn't have to do much of anything and everything was working. So this obviously describes that kind of feeling when you first become a coach and you just start putting little bits out there and there are a ton of fish in the sea. People are commenting, you're putting up posts, people are reacting, you're getting that engagement you're really looking for. So I would say that like a lot of coaches, and you might be one of them if you felt this way, in the beginning, things feel super duper easy. And it sort of feels like it's this side hustle with really out a lot of that much time and effort. I always hear from people, it came so easy. So without a strategy, without much thought, you might have been able to build your business and do it very quickly. And so these are some of the things that come to mind. Hashtag supermom, hashtag coach life, hashtag killing it. So that might have been your experience in the beginning. And then something else happened. And what that is that all of a sudden the landscape changes and being a coach feels like a bit like the barren sea. It's like, where did all those people go that were engaging with me, that really were there in the beginning? Like, what have I done differently? And so it may feel like you aren't getting the same engagement, you aren't getting the same likes, and it just feels a whole heck of a lot harder. Like, it's super frustrating, and it also may feel like it's taking 1,000 times the effort to get that same result as you did before. I hear this all the time, like, I'm struggling with balance, I don't have more time to put in, and I don't feel confident. I'm just recycling old clients versus attracting new ones, and no one is engaging with me. So I do want to say, if you are feeling that way, believe me, that is 100% normal, and that is exactly what we're going to dig into today. So you might have felt like hashtag hot mess mom, hashtag, I like this one, poach life. The reason I put that there is that sometimes as a coach, it can feel like, well, this isn't working for me, so I better do what other people are doing. And that can be a trap that we get into. We lose focus on who we are and we start copying what other people are doing because it feels a little bit hopeless in that moment. Hashtag just getting by. So this is sort of the moment of truth that as an entrepreneur, you may go through. What I was doing, all of a sudden, it isn't working anymore. So when this happens, it's like this sort of feeling, and it never feels really good, right? You sort of feel like I'm alone in this, and I'm starting to doubt who I am, if I can make this business work. And we start to question that time commitment. It's like, well, if it's more time than what I got right now, I just don't know if I'm ever going to get there. And so the good news really is that I've been there too. And what I can tell you is that it's not about adding more time. It's about being better with the quality and the way in which you spend your time. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there isn't definitely time investment. Like, there are times where you have to put in more time to be more successful. But I will tell you that when you know exactly what to focus on, it is much more satisfying time versus what I would call the spraying and praying method, being like, I just got to post more, I got to do more social, and you're not getting those end results from it. So this is what I really feel like a lot of coaches go from, and what I also would say that I went from as well, where there's tons of people, tons of interest, and then it goes to like, people just sort of passing by, not really noticing that you're there. And if that's you, this training was made to help you, okay? So you can go, I love this picture, to this, which is what I would describe as a multitude of ideal clients right in front of you that can't wait to talk to you. I just love Ellen. I didn't even realize there are all these themes in here about Dory being Ellen. I do these things sometimes. All connecting the dots. It's just what I do, apparently. So anyways, you want to get your ideal clients in front of you. That's what today is really about. How do you get more of those people in front of you so that you can do what you do best? So let the training begin. So the first lesson is to be a purple fish. So what I mean by this is, if you've read Seth Godin's book, it's called The Purple Cow, this concept may be very familiar. And the basic premise is that if you drove through the country and you saw a bunch of common, ordinary brown cows, and then all of a sudden you turned and you saw a purple cow, well, you'd never forget that you saw a purple cow, like ever, right? And because that cow has now become unforgettable, and it stands out because it's remarkable. It's something so different than anything else you've ever seen. So the idea is, behind this lesson, how do you market and design your product to be or service to be very different from the competition, to a degree that you could actually leave a permanent impression on people. So Seth Godin says the only way to cut the hyper clutter of products and advertising today is to be remarkable. And I couldn't agree more. If I think of anyone that I follow on social media, like we're always cutting down, right? Like even when you go on social media, I don't know about you guys, but I'm unfollowing stuff, I'm unsubscribing, but there are certain things I would never want to cut out of my newsfeed or my email. And they're the things that are remarkable. So what's remarkable will stay, and what is mediocre will just get washed away. So how do you actually become a purple fish in the sea of sameness? So this is what, if you've taken the 21-day challenge, you know exactly what this is. This is what I call the sweet spot. So I talked about this a little bit in the beginning, but the basic premise is that it can be three. I talk about four, but it can be three. It can be really as many as you feel are relevant. But there is one thing that you were born to do. For me, it was definitely fitness. Like that was so obvious. Like I was just born into that. But we all have that one thing we were born to do. So you got to figure out exactly what it is so you can speak to it, because it helps connect the dots for your clients. The next thing is to figure out, what do you actually love to do? Like, what are you really good at and what are you passionate about? And for me, that was being an entrepreneur. I would do it without getting paid. So that's a pretty good sign that you love something. And I think when you do get into business or being an entrepreneur, you do really have to love it, because you put a lot of time into it and that will pay off in the end. So you got to be passionate about the process. The third thing is, what skills or education do you have that will help back it up? And it could be the school of hard knocks. Like that's another thing. It doesn't have to be this formalized education. It could be something that you learned that taught you that is now reflective in every client you see. It really doesn't have to be a formalized education. For me, it was really that connection with having to teach. When I was at Good Life, I was teaching basic minimum wage people how to sell fitness. So I had to get really good at being entertaining and being able to keep their attention span. And that took a lot of skill development. So that's something that comes out in what I do now. So that is what your sweet spot is. And right in the middle is where that magic lies. So in this lesson, these are the 3 steps to take action. So the first is to really define your sweet spot. What is that thing that makes you so different than every other coach out there? And then you want to get clear on why you're a purple fish. So why are you remarkable and why are you different? You need to be able to talk about those features and those benefits of why you're different than every other person out there. That's what people are really looking to hear. They need that differentiating factor. So you've got to know what that is and be able to speak to it. And then the last point here is tell your story in an unforgettable way. People remember, they don't remember facts, they don't remember figures, they remember stories and how you made them feel. So make sure you have a story that is going to help them remember why they should work with you. All right, lesson number 2. People have the attention span of Dory. So as we look into this, if you have seen Finding Nemo, then you know Dory says, "Hi, I'm Dory. I suffer from short-term memory loss." So if you've seen the movie, which I'm sure anyone that has kids has seen this movie, you may know that fish have a 9-second attention span. Well, guess what? Humans, in 2015, the human attention span was actually only 8 seconds. So you think about how much stuff is always flashing through people's screens and news feeds and all the distractions. You don't have a lot of time to get people's attention. So how do you get your ideal customer's attention on social media? This is one of the questions, obviously, that comes up all the time. How do I draw new people in and actually get their attention? And so I want to give you guys an example of how you actually do this. So I talk a lot about Marie Forleo. She is a business coach for entrepreneurs, and she really focuses in on helping entrepreneurs start their passion projects, like a business that they're really, really passionate about. So what she does, and she nails this every single time, she really knows her ideal customer so well that she could put herself in their body and know exactly what keeps them up at night. So what she nails here is that, as an entrepreneur, we often can lack that confidence that we can, one, be very maybe gifted at something. These are the words that she would be using and thinking about, her ideal customer would use, and going after their goals. Like, entrepreneurs can have that sort of, they can go back and forth between, I got this, I can do this, to, oh, I'm not seeing the results I would expect to see. So what Marie Forleo does, and this is what I would call like stopping the scroll, is she speaks directly to her ideal customers in a way that, one, nails the language they would use, and it interrupts those negative thoughts that are going through their mind. So what she says here is, we must believe that we are gifted for something, and that this thing, at whatever cost, must be obtained. So she does an amazing job of stopping her ideal client mid-scroll, because she knows what they think about. And her copywriting, which, if you guys aren't familiar with what copywriting is, it's really the art of being able to use words to get people to engage. So she has a course on copywriting as well, but she's amazing at knowing exactly how her ideal clients speak and stopping them right in their tracks. So in order to take action on lesson number 2, you need to get clear on what your ideal customer thinks about. Now, don't guess on this one. This is an easy trap to be like, oh, I know my client thinks about this. Ask them. Like, get in their heads and get their language, because you may think their goal is to lose weight. To them, it's like, oh, I just want to tone up. Totally different. It won't stop them in their scroll if you don't have that language down. It's that art of copywriting. The next thing you're going to think about is, what are their 5 biggest obstacles that they think about? What are those like limiting beliefs that are rolling around in their head before they fall asleep at night? You want to think about those. What do you need to say to stop that scroll? You need to interrupt that thought and it to address exactly what they're thinking about. All right, lesson number 3. Don't cast your net in a fishbowl. So what I mean by this is that there are a limited number of people in your Facebook social circle. So no wonder if you're doing the same thing, you're posting over and over again, you may not be getting the same result that you always had been. So there's only a certain number of people that are going to be able to see what you post. And there's really only 2 things you can do, right? You can build your network so more people are engaging and seeing your posts, because it's kind of like if someone sees something and it doesn't instantly grab them, one, they may not be your ideal customer, or you might need to change your message. So to keep things very simple, there's only 2 variables here when it really comes to thinking about your network. You can either change the network size by adding people to your network so you get more engagement, or you can change what you post. So you change the copywriting, which is the way you've written a post. You change the ideal customer and how much you know about them and what you think they're thinking about. Like, those are the only 2 things you can do. And so if you're doing the exact same thing, you're not changing those 2 variables, and you're expecting different results, this is always that pain point of that definition of insanity. You have to do one of those two things to change it up, or you do both. And then you will start to see those different results. So we always had this saying when I was in membership sales and specifically selling memberships, talking about generating leads in sales is like talking about air to breathe. The fact is, if you don't have enough sales or you're not where you want to be, you've got to increase the lead generation, the number of people in your funnel. So how do you get more fresh leads in front of you? We're going to talk about this specific strategy. So if you've never seen this before, this will be life-changing in itself. So this is called a lead funnel. The lead funnel is the lifeblood of every single business out there. So I'm going to walk you through exactly what each step of the funnel is and how you take someone from awareness to moving through those steps to now they're repurchasing more products from you. So when it comes to the first step about awareness, this is the place that you are, in order to get more people in your funnel, you have to focus on problems. For some reason, people prefer to engage with posts about problems, and that gets their attention. So you focus on what problems your ideal customer has, and they have to know about you, right? That is the first step in any funnel. People have to know about you in order to engage with you. So you're going to entertain them and you're going to inform, okay? So once people know about you, what happens is that then they move into interest. So what this is, in this stage of the process, you're focusing on solutions. So you're educating and helping them make informed decisions. So it's all about these teachable moments that you're sharing. Then from there, once they feel like, yeah, okay, I can trust this person, they've educated me, this lead then moves down into consideration. So what this is that they really need a taste of what it's like to work with you. Show them what it's like to work with you. Maybe this is getting them into a challenge group. Maybe it's a free coaching session with you. It's getting them to consider, what would it be like to work with this person directly? Next is purchase. So this is when they actually commit to you and they commit to a specific action. And most people would stop there and think, okay, I got them, it's good. So what actually happens is there's a couple other steps that can happen after that in the funnel. So post-purchase is continuous learning. So you're consistently providing with this lead with new and ongoing information. It might be a loyalty program, feedback loop, testimonials. You're just continuing to educate them as being in your funnel. The third thing is the last thing is repurchase. This is looking for opportunities to upgrade. So I know you guys probably have all had people that have been in one of your groups before, and there's additional products you guys sell. They might just be, let's say, drinking, like on a Challenger pack, and they're drinking a certain shake. Well, there's a whole bunch of different products that you guys can be talking about and putting in front of them. So there's that repurchase opportunity. They already like and trust you. This is a missed opportunity if you're not utilizing it. So the reason that I bring up this lead funnel is it's sort of twofold. One, it's to be aware that if you're not getting the sales result on the bottom end of this, where you have enough people purchasing, or you're looking to ramp it up, you need to make more people aware of you. That's the first step, because as they become aware of you, you can increase their interest, increase consideration, and then they'll make a purchase. So the way that I internalize this and use this is whenever I'm thinking about posting, there's sort of this cycle you can think about, right? You don't want to be a one-trick pony where you're always posting the same thing, always posting, like whatever it may be, like one thing. It could be just a shaker cup or or a move, like an exercise move. You want to be consistently looking at all these different areas, because everyone in your lead funnel is in a different part of your lead funnel. So you're consistently looking at, how do I continue to add more leads, make people aware, increase interest and consideration, and then the steps that can happen after purchase. So this concept is a little bit, if anyone's feeling like it's a little bit fuzzy or there's sort of a lot of steps there, don't worry. The only thing that I want you to take away from this is that if you want more purchases, you need more people to be aware of you. That's all you really, really need to know about this step. So the take action component here is to get clear on how you add people to your funnel. Everyone has something that may work differently. Some people are Instagram ninjas, and they can get people knowing about them and aware of them through Instagram. Some people are YouTube. Some people have an email list. So obviously you'd have to be aware of someone before you'd sign up for their email list, but you need to think about how to add people to the awareness stage. Maybe it's Facebook ads. That is going to translate into more purchases. So the other thing to think about is, how do you actually make people more aware of you? So there's a couple of things that are right off the bat you can do, like shareable content. Like if you create something that someone would want to share, then they are telling more people about you. So you can ask people, right? Like, if you love this video, make sure you share it. That's something Marie Forleo is so great at. She always tells people what is the action she wants them to take. So the key here is to just make sure that you have a strategy. How am I going to get more people to be aware of me? Maybe it's your people that have gotten great results. Do you ever get them to post? Do you ever get them to tell people about you? There's tons of ways you can do this. And then the last step here is, how can you get more people funneling in? So online, the goal is always to have a consistent flow of people coming in your funnel. And so we're going to talk more about how to get people funneling in, but it's definitely a question of, I look at it as like fishing and farming. Fishing is going out every day and posting on social media. That works, it's great. But if you farm, then you have a constant nurturing of your crops, right? And they're not all the same crop, they're different crops. So you're nurturing different areas to find out what's gonna grow best, what's gonna work best. It's more the long-term strategy. So that's what I would recommend, how you look at building a funnel. Don't be a one-trick pony. Think about different ways. Maybe it's Instagram, maybe it is YouTube, whatever it is, you wanna make sure you have multiple streams going into that possible funnel that you're building. Okay, lesson 4 is to try different waters if the fish aren't biting. So what I mean by this is that you've got to be adding new fresh leads to the water and going to new territory. You can't fish just in the same spot and expect that it's always going to have a ton of people that are excited to see what you're posting, right? You've got to be consistently adding fresh bait and people to that group if you're going to expect to get consistent engagement and expect it to continue to rise, right? You need to get yourself in front of more people. And so the one thing I do want to mention here is that there are constant changes happening around Facebook's news feed decreasing in organic reach. So what I mean by this is that Facebook has an algorithm that determines when you post something, how high of a priority is it? So what this means is that if you post something and no one engages with it, and it's sort of like Instagram in a way, because Instagram has a similar, like when something goes viral, like they have to get engagement right away. So Facebook is sort of similar, that if people aren't engaging with it right away, Facebook doesn't see it as high priority. so it doesn't show it to as many people. So it's clear that engaging with your hard-won fans will become increasingly difficult if you're not posting high-quality content that your customers want to engage with. Okay, so I think there's been a lot of talk about Facebook. That's actually, I spoke to a Facebook expert yesterday, or 2 days ago now, and that's exactly how they explained it. In order to be a high priority, many people seeing you, it's got to be something people are like really quickly engaging with. So this is something interesting about Facebook, and just looking at this idea of making sure you're kind of expanding this circle in which you're focused on. So email gets delivered more than 90% of the time. Facebook posts get delivered 2% of the time. So the takeaway from this is that, like, Facebook is still a part of the engine. You have to continue to post on Facebook. That's how a lot of us have gotten our businesses up and going. But what I'm saying is, don't discount email, because you think about it, if you work in any sort of corporate environment, you are checking email all the time. You are used to people communicating with you via email. People very much, I love this quote, the best time to call me is email. I totally agree. I turn off certain, I don't know if you guys are the same here, but like when someone tries to call me, I'm like, no, like email me. Like, I don't want to deal, I don't know if it's because I'm a millennial or what it is, but I just don't want to deal with having to talk to people. So I prefer, my preferred method for communication is email. And I did a poll recently in one of my groups, and it was like 90% of people preferred email over blog posts, over videos, over anything else. So if anything, it isn't about abandoning any strategy that you have going. Keep that strategy going. The message here is that make sure you diversify. Because here's the great thing is that if I see something quickly on Facebook you've posted, and then you email me about it, you're going to be darn sure I've seen it, right? So it's about repetition. Email can be a big part of that for you. So make sure you don't discount it. So the take action steps here are to ask for engagement in Facebook posts. So what this looks like is, if you are to ask a question on Facebook, then you want people to respond, right? These are the types of posts that typically get people answering and engaging, so then they get shown to more people. So that's a good strategy to have for this lesson. Next is focus on building an email list. Make sure that you have, like, I use the provider MailChimp. It's quite easy. This might not be, this depends on where you're at in your business, but I would say, like, step one is to really solidify who you are, what your message is, and who your ideal clients are. Once you've done that, step two is to now focus more on the email list, focus more on your copywriting. Like, you can fine tune that process. So depending on where you are in your business, building an email list may be part of that strategy, or you may not be there yet, and that's okay. Then the other thing I would recommend is to test out other C's. So Instagram, YouTube, if you're a Snapchatter, test out those other markets, because you never know where you're going to be able to pick up people from that maybe your client base is on there. The more that you get to know your ideal client, the more you're going to be able to see exactly where they hang out, and you'll be able to get more leads in your network. Okay, so now what you've all been waiting for is the biggest secret in marketing. So we make the mistake of searching out there for some secret marketing tactic that all the big shots must be using. And so as entrepreneurs, most of us are really actually addicted to this novelty. And it's a blessing and a curse, right? We love new strategies, charting new courses, but we wind up making things way more complicated than they need to be. sometimes something we must not, we're searching for something we might not be aware of. We think that there's a trick up there that we just don't know about yet. And here's the actual reality of it, is that when the real secret to all of this is that I love this quote, just keep swimming, because what it means to me is that know yourself, know your customer, know what's working, and just keep moving forward. It doesn't have to be perfect. You are going to learn every step of the way what's working, but make sure you know yourself, you know your ideal customer, and you know what's working, because you can keep fine-tuning those things as you go. And I guarantee you, no one out there really knows what they're doing. They just know what's working, and they just keep doing more and more and more of it. If you're really interested in this topic, there's a great book by Perry Marshall called The 80-20 Rule, Sales and Marketing. It talks about the best marketers. Like, I can sum it up for you in like 2 seconds. He talks about that the best marketers know exactly what's working, and they keep digging in, and they keep doing more of it, and they keep doing it more frequently. So if there's one secret to marketing, that is it. Know what's working, keep doing more of it, know who you are, know who your ideal customers are. Thank you so much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. As always, thank you so much, Bria, for having me. And yeah, I'm really happy to answer any questions anyone has, or yeah, I don't know if anyone has any, or.
Thanks, Ashley. I will leave it open to anyone if anyone has questions. Sorry, I was moving around. I'm in charge of the puppy tonight, and he's in need of a walk. But I was here, and I have to say, I mean, I always learn so much from you, Ashley, but I really feel like I need to highlight one of the things that was such an aha moment for me was this fishing versus farming. Maybe you've said it to me before, I don't know, but it really, like, all of a sudden just made so much sense, because that really is what I do in social media every day. I feel like I'm fishing to find my people, and I'm not like farming and sowing so that I can later reap. And I kind of feel like, duh, like, what have I been doing all these years? I should have been fostering these seeds, like planting seeds and really fostering them. And I've just been kind of like a daily fisherman, and man, that's exhausting. Anyway, so thank you for that. I think that was an awesome piece of info in the whole course. So if anyone has any other questions, now is that time. But I do really appreciate you hopping on, sharing this with us. And I really have to encourage, if you're not in Ashley's free business group on Facebook, it is absolutely a worthwhile place. It's where she posts everything. So I would make sure to get on that. And maybe I can definitely repost the link, or just request access if you need it. And thank you so much for being on tonight, Ashley. I appreciate it so much. And I'm excited to be digging deeper into Magnify Your Magic.
Yeah, no problem. And the other one thing I'll mention is, if anyone's on the fence or just wants to just chat, I'm so willing to chat with anyone, like a 15-minute quick call. Any questions or concerns or any info you guys want on, or questions you have on the courses, please let me know. You can definitely add me to Facebook. And yeah, I'm so happy to help if anyone does have any further questions.
Thank you again. And yeah, I will get this recording up between me or Ashley. We will have it. So thanks, everyone. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.